Hello and what's good with your YouTube? And so here we go. So the college football rankings, we're going to dive into the AP top 25 and also look at the coaches poll as well, side by side here. But man, I mean, week one in the books. And so there were some interesting things, some very exciting games. We had some upsets. You think about Florida actually pulling off the upset against Utah. That was a tremendous game there. North Carolina State, they were able to hold on to their win in Clemson. It took a minute for them to get going, but when they got going towards the end of the fourth quarter, they went ahead and separated themselves. Bama came out looking like Bama. Ohio State versus Notre Dame, two teams that was in the top five. How will the committee reward them? Well, let's go ahead and dive right into that. So right off the bat, you see at the top there is Alabama. And so Alabama looked like Alabama. They looked like a team, honestly, that was playing against a team such as Utah State when they went out there and won that first matchup of the season. But of course, first matchup of the season, there is no such thing as a preseason, but this kind of almost feels like it, in my opinion, because I mean, we are talking about Utah State, no offense to them, but we knew that Bama was going to come in there and put in work. But Bryce Young looked tremendous. And if you're, the committee there, you saw everything you needed to see to reaffirm that, hey, they're as talented as we thought they were. They are who we thought they were, basically. So atop the top 25 and AP coaches poll as well. And then Georgia in their complete dominance against the Oregon Ducks. I mean, they beat the number 11 ranked team in the country so decisively that you look right here on the polls. And so just to skim forward, Oregon is nowhere to be seen in the top 25 here on the AP poll. And for the coaches poll, these guys dropped down all the way to the 24th spot. And so basically, essentially knocking Oregon out of the top 25 in just 1 week. Never seen that before. You're already ranked 11. You played a number at that time, three ranked team in the country, and they knock you out the top 25. That's insane. And that just lets you know right there that this Georgia team, it was pretty obvious that they're picking up where they left off last year, which is scary news for the rest of the country. Now, what I personally, personally, this is just me personally, what I do not like is the fact that for the Ohio State Buckeyes, you beat Notre Dame, who was ranked number five. Notre Dame gets bumped down to number eight. We'll talk to them about them in a minute. But you beat a top five ranked team and you get knocked down a spot. I get it. The eye test will tell you that Georgia looked tremendous and that there are some questions for Ohio State that I'll even acknowledge that myself. But that being said, it was against Notre Dame. I'm pretty sure if we went out there and if the Buckeyes played Utah State or if they played someone like that, that you would have saw a similar performance. But I cannot take away anything from what Georgia did. So in that sake, I get it. I certainly do get it. In Ohio State, they are third in the AP top 25 and coaches poll as well. Now, another big surprise that I had is Michigan coming in at number four. Now, if you watch the game, Michigan had control of that one from start to finish against Central Michigan. It wasn't even close. Wasn't even close, honestly. But that being said, though, they did look really good in the opener there. And so, I'm sorry, that was Colorado State that they played. So against Colorado State. And so in that top 25 poll, they have Michigan at number four. And in the coaches poll, they are at number five there. And so personally, jumping from eight to four, and then it's not like other than Notre Dame losing, I mean, who else lost there? But I get it. At this point in week one, the eye test matters, I guess, a lot because we don't really know how the other teams that they played against were really fair. So I get that. So Michigan at number four. At number five is Clemson. So they did drop a spot there, despite the fact that you look at the final score against Georgia Tech, and it was pretty lopsided there. But I can see that. I can see that Michigan over Clemson. I can see that for number five. And we all know that Clemson's got talent. That's pretty obvious there. And so it's just a matter of how consistent will DJ be for Clemson. That's really their biggest question mark. If they can go ahead and perhaps switch over to the Cade era sooner rather than later, it may just pay off for them in the long run. We'll see about that moving forward. But Clemson was number five, and then Texas A&M at number six. And so they really, I believe they played Sam Houston State, and so that was, they came out there, they won. We'll see more about them, but they stayed packed at where they're at. And then Oklahoma, number seven, Oklahoma, despite all the losses in the offseason, they still have tremendous talent. And so they are ranked at number seven. And so they beat UTEP 45-13. And so, that's going out there taking care of business. And of course, we'll see whenever they start to get tested later on, but they went out there and took care of business as they should. Now, for Notre Dame dropping to number eight, that's about what I projected that they were going to drop to. Honestly, I mean, you had lost to the then number two, now number three ranked team in the country, and it was a fairly close game up until the very end. You lost by 11 points there, but it was no doubt that both teams had some things to work on there, but both teams belong to be in that top 10, and so Notre Dame at number eight, I like that. All right, and then number 9, they have Baylor. So Baylor coming in there at number 9, and so I can see that. I can see that. I mean, they took care of business against Albany. It was 69-10, and so I certainly do see that. But gonna need to see them play tougher competition to be able to determine whether or not that's a good ranking for them or not. But putting USC at number 10, of course, the team that had a lot of positive buzz in the offseason, they came out there against Rice. As the game went on, they came more and more and more along, and they pretty much jumped up, I think, 4 spots in the top 25 poll, and so that's interesting. But in the coaches poll, they are at number 12. But in terms of that, I think that looking at the teams below them, I probably do like Florida a little bit more than USC at this point. Of course, we just saw one game from Florida, but I mean, putting them at number 10, I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that. At 11, you've got Oklahoma State Sooners, and so I mean Oklahoma State they're on a rampage right now, and I like putting them at number 11 here. This is a team that I'm going to keep an eye out for as the season continues to play out there. But I'm anticipating that they're going to, when it's all said and done, be in a very good place there. So having them at number 11, I like that for now. And then number 12, we just mentioned Florida going from unranked all the way to number 12. That goes to show the kind of things that we saw. But honestly, the quarterback play at Florida was surprising in a great way when I watched University of Florida in that matchup against Utah there. And of course, they got Utah at number 13. So I like that 12, 13. Now, Utah did not fall despite the fact that Utah did lose to a team that at that time was unranked. But since it was the start of the football season, I'm not going to penalize them too much. And it was an extremely close game. I think this was more of just Florida being a good team as opposed to anything else. And so it could have went either way. So I understand putting them at 13 right after Florida, who obviously just beat them. And so, but they did drop quite a few spots because they were 7. I'm sorry, they were 7. So they fell 6 spots on a thing. And so, but putting them at 13, that feels about right, just up under the team that beat them. And so, okay, I forgot they were obviously previously number 7. Okay, and then you had number 14. They've got Michigan State. Sounds about right for them. Michigan State 14, Miami 15. I feel like you could even swap Miami and Michigan State, in my opinion, but put Michigan State at 14 and Miami at 15. I can see that going either way. I probably would put the Hurricanes above Michigan State personally. At number 16, though, Arkansas. And so, I mean, putting them at 16, that's another one that I probably would also put above Michigan State. So I probably would move up Miami to 14. Michigan State would drop to 16, put Arkansas at 15. But them being right there. They just beat Cincinnati there, and so they got off on there, and so Cincinnati started getting things going there a little bit, but Arkansas held on and was able to win against a top 25 opponent, and so I like that for them. So they moved up 3 spots to that 16 spot. And so at 17, you've got Pittsburgh. And so at Pittsburgh, this week they'll have an interesting test coming up against the University of Tennessee. And so I think that's, going to be a better game than people probably anticipate. But I'm excited to see how that's going to look. But for 17 right now, I got to like that. Got to like that for them. And then let's see now at number 18, North Carolina State dropping 5 spots, and I certainly understand it. I mean, it was quite the scare. I mean, if East Carolina would have pulled that off, then yeah, they probably would be even lower than that right now, if still ranked at all. But I get that dropping them down to 18 because they did come away. They're just lucky that they were able to win that game, but that's more so East Carolina special teams costing them that game than anything right there. So lucky for them, they did not lose it, but dropping 5 spots, completely agree with that. All right, and then you've got the Wisconsin Badgers here. So Wisconsin, another team that I'm going to be watching that's in the Big Ten here. Now they did beat Illinois State 38-0, but you see that they dropped them 1 spot as well here, and so I understand that. Definitely understand that. I probably would have kept them at 18, probably put North Carolina State at 19 personally, but I can understand that. And so putting them at 19, I get that. Kentucky at 20. And so I like that. And I especially like that Kentucky's going to be able to go against Florida this week. That's going to be a big time matchup, one in which I'm looking forward to watching to see Kentucky versus University of Florida. And I think it's going to be a very great matchup. Might be matchup of the week right there. So obviously Florida riding this momentum here, and they'll be going against Kentucky. That's going to be a great game, a really great game. As a matter of fact, it's going to come on later in the day as well. It's going to be in the swamp though, so it's going to be down there in Florida. So we'll see if Florida can keep things going. And then at 21, they've got BYU. And so BYU has a tremendous challenge coming up here against number 10 Baylor. So I'll be watching that game and be able to give a better analysis of that BYU team after this upcoming week. All right, they got Ole Miss at 22, so they dropped them one spot there, and so Ole Miss. We'll see how Ole Miss does. Now they do play against Central Arkansas this upcoming week, and so we won't see them get tested this upcoming week. So a lot to be seen from them. But hey, one thing we do know is that Lane Kiffin and this offense, they're going to be ready. They're going to be ready. So it'll be fun to watch them. And then you have number 23, Wake Forest. So Wake Forest at 23. And so for Wake Forest, I believe they're going to be getting their quarterback Sam back. And so that's going to be tremendous for them. And I understand them dropping one spot there, but if they get their quarterback back, that's going to be a tremendous boost for this team. So this will be a team to watch out for as a potential contender to challenge a team like Clemson in the ACC, but obviously extremely early here. And we'll see how things look for them moving forward. But again, that matchup against Clemson is a couple weeks away from now, I believe. All right, and then at 24, you've got Tennessee. I mentioned that they've got a challenge against Pitt. And so, Pitt being ranked number 17, that's going to be a good matchup to watch there between those two teams. And we'll see if Tennessee can come out there and win. But this will be a good test for both of those teams to really see how they match up against each other. Again, Tennessee coming from being unranked, and now they're ranked 24. And then Houston at 25. And so, yeah, we're going to definitely see what Houston looks like against Texas Tech. I believe it's going to be the matchup that they're going to have this upcoming week. And so, again, not a major test there, but we're going to look and see the consistency of this team throughout the course of the season and see how that fares moving forward. But certainly a team to keep your eye out for. Now, they did have a close battle against UTSA. They did have a close battle against UTSA. So I have a lot of concerns about this Houston team. A lot of concerns that they did win 37-35, but a lot of concerns there about this Houston team for sure. But there you guys have it there, top 25 there. And so a lot of interesting things. One thing I will point out is in the top 25, you don't see the University of Texas in the AP top 25. But however, looking at the coaches poll, you see that they have a team like Texas here at 22. I mentioned that because Texas will be going against Alabama. And obviously, if Texas somehow finds a way, somehow, some way to upset Alabama, this is a team that would be primed to just jump a similar jump to what we saw with Florida, maybe even higher. I could see them going all the way to about 11 or 10 if they were to somehow beat Bama in that matchup. Although that's probably not going to happen most likely, but I'm just saying in the scenario that it would happen, they are a team that are primed to jump. The coaches poll did happen to keep Oregon in the top 25, put them at 24, and they had BYU at 25. Real the AP poll has them at 21. And so just looking at some of the notable differences here. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. And so a lot of key matchups coming up this upcoming week. And so a lot to look forward to. I mean, just looking through some of the games right there. Now the Arkansas number 19 versus South Carolina. I mean, Spencer Rattler and the South Carolina Gamecocks will be coming down there. We'll see if that becomes an interesting game or not. And then just looking through some of these games and matchups, I mentioned the Tennessee versus Pittsburgh. That's a game to look forward to this upcoming week. Now, Appalachian State versus Texas A&M. I expect Texas A&M to win that game, but Appalachian State is no easy pushover team at all. We saw how they did against North Carolina last week. A&M's a better squad, but you just never know any given week, So we'll see how that turns out there. But that could be a potential trap game right there. And then you look at some of the other teams that are playing Houston on the road at Texas Tech. Now, Kentucky at Florida. Really looking forward to that game now. Really extremely looking forward to that game. And then USC at Stafford. So some games to look forward to this upcoming week. Some games to look forward to. But of course, that is it there. That's the college football rankings for this week, guys. And so let me know what was the biggest surprise for you guys and what don't you agree with in terms of the AP top 25 and their rankings here. Let me know which team should be higher, which team should be lower, which team's overrated, and which team's underrated. And so let me know that. And also, if there was a team that was not mentioned in the top 25 that you feel like should have been in the top 25, let me know that also, guys. And again, I don't make these AP polls. Believe me, I don't. And so I'm just out here sharing what they have here. So definitely let me know your thoughts here. Some of the other teams that did receive some votes, though, were teams such as Penn State. That's a team to keep an eye out for. Penn State, Texas, Cincinnati, Florida State. Now, Florida State, they did upset LSU. And so now they're on the radar, UCF, Fresno State, Minnesota, Kansas State, Auburn, Mississippi State, Air Force, Oregon State, North Carolina, South Carolina, Purdue, UCLA, and Arizona all received some type of vote in the AP poll. But there you have it, guys. Thanks again for watching, and see you guys next time.